Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I wanted to cover my Arcwing build as well as my Archgun build for Railjack, because in my opinion, Arcwing Arcgun is the best way to kill enemies, and since every single Railjack mission has kill fighters, kill cruise ships, you're going to want a good way to deal with them. The best way that I found is with my Amesha and my Cyngas. Now, you can use whatever Arcgun you feel is best, but I really recommend running at least the Amesha, because Amesha's first ability is going to make you immune to all enemy damage. Now, the fourth will also give you energy as well as make you immune, but it does get killed by the cruise ship, so I wouldn't recommend trying to use the 4 for survivability only for energy. In case you're not aware of how the abilities work, I'm going to quickly cover them and just talk about why they're good and where to use them. Let's start with the first ability, Watchful Storm. This ability kind of works like Revenant's 2 Mesmer Skin. It has a number of charges each time you activate it that deplete with each damage instance, which means that with my build, I get about 20 hits before it deactivates, and I can reactivate it again to gain the immunity. Unfortunately, you can't reactivate it while it's already active, so it's like Iron Skin in that you have to wait for it to deactivate first, which can cause you to die sometimes, but it is rare, and if you're paying attention, it doesn't really happen that often. The second ability, Benevolent Decoy, is a healing AoE that heals you as it takes damage. Now you can spam this a couple times and it'll increase the duration as well as the size of the healing bubble. This is an okay ability, and if you're low on health, it's good to use, but hopefully if you're playing correctly and you're using your abilities properly, you won't be low on health very often, which means you don't have to use this too much. The Amesha's third ability is the best one for Railjack, and that's because it slows down enemies by up to 80% if you have level 8 intrinsics. It also makes you immune to status effects, which is nice, but we're really here for the slow, because it'll slow down all the enemy ships to the point where you can just go from one to the next, to the next, to the next, and kill them all in a row. It's super, super good, and I can't recommend it enough. Now, the fourth ability here, Vengeful Rush, is how you get your energy. What this ability does is it makes you immune for a certain duration, so long as you don't have maxed energy. So while your energy isn't full, you'll be immune to damage. Now, like I mentioned earlier, cruise ships and other enemies will deal too much damage to you and max out very quickly, thus making you vulnerable again. Which is why we're using the first ability to nullify damage, and using the fourth ability here to just get energy. Which is good because it also gives you energy while you have the third ability, Warding Grace, active. So you can gain energy while slowing enemies, which makes it pretty safe. While Vengeful Rush is active, it does give you some extra ability range, strength, and duration, but we're really just here for the energy. So what I do whenever I go out into Arcwing is I activate my 4 and my 3, that way the enemies are slowed and I'm immune to damage, so then I can get energy and then activate my 1. I don't want to activate my 1 before I get energy because then it will prevent me from gaining the energy with the 4, because it's blocking the damage. But once you've maxed out in your energy capacity, feel free to activate the 1 whenever. And then if for whatever reason you end up losing a lot of health and you want to get it back, just activate your 2 and it should quickly regen your health so long as enemies are attacking. Hopefully that's pretty simple, and if you have any questions about Amesha, please leave them in the comments below. As for the Arcwing build, it's pretty simple and straightforward. There's not that many great Arcwing mods, so I'm just using all the good ones here. For general survivability, I have enhanced durability for the health, argon plating for the armor. You can run these if you want to. Obviously it'll help a little bit, but for the most part we're using our abilities to stay alive. The important mods are things like System Reroute, which is going to give you ability efficiency, which when combined with your efficiency from the intrinsics is going to give you maxed out ability efficiency, which is important to maintain Warding Grace. It'll give you a 2.5 energy drain a second. Hyperion Thrusters is just flight speed, so it makes you go faster, pretty simple. Kinetic Diversion I have here. I like this a little bit because if I'm taking damage, it allows me to quickly activate my first ability to stay alive or my fourth ability to gain more energy, assuming that I'm not already maxed out. Auxiliary Power increases my max energy, so this means that when I am maxed out on energy, I have more to use when I'm activating my drain with Warding Grace. And then last but not least, Primed Morphic Transformer. You can use the non-prime version of this if you don't have the prime version, but obviously the more ability strength you have, the better. And with mine, I have 26 drones with Watchful Storm. Now, the important part of this is the Archgun build. There's a couple Archguns that work. I would recommend either the Cyngas, the Imperator Vandal, or the Phaedra, in that order, really. The Cyngas is the highest status chance, and it's also slash base, which is what we want. The slash status in Railjack is actually particle damage. As far as I'm aware, it still counts as dealing slash damage towards the enemies according to the codex entry, but I don't know honestly how this works exactly. Because without a simulacrum, it's very difficult to test, and I just don't want to go through the trial and error of figuring that out. The important part here is that the slash status is super, super strong, more so than anything else you're going to do in Railjack. And it's probably going to be changed soon, I would imagine, because it's just overwhelmingly strong. But we'll find out soon. Anyways, let me talk about my build real quick. So with this build, I'm just going for high status chance. To get that, I have charged bullets, magma chamber, hyperthermic shell, with a status chance riven. Now, I think my riven here is probably one of the better ones you can get. It's got status chance and multi shot, which are probably the best rolls. If you do get a riven for this, I would suggest getting status chance just to max out at 100% before multi shot, and then multi shot damage are going to be the two top damage rolls for the Cyngas. If you don't have a riven, then I would suggest running marked target for the extra status chance instead of running an extra status chance mod. You want to have radiation and cold damage on here. You don't really want to create viral, which is the other damage type you'd be creating with the hypothermic shell if you put on contamination casing. So like I said, I have charged bullets, magma chamber, and hypothermic shell for the status chance as well as the radiation and cold damage. The cold's really nice because it'll slow down the enemies even more so than our slow will. Not that it's necessary, but it is nice and it's a good damage type versus all the flying enemies. Zodiac Shred here is very important for the Cyngas build because you want to be weighting the slash damage higher than everything else for the status calculation. Because the higher your damage type is, the more chance you have to proc it. So Zodiac Shred will increase your slash procs by a large margin, and you should be running this in your build. Other than that, I have Rubido Line Barrel for the damage and dual rounds for the multi-shot, as well as automatic trigger for fire rate. Hopefully that's pretty simple. I'm just going for damage, status chance, multi-shot, and then radiation cold damage in that order, with, of course, Zodiac Shred for the weighting on the status. My Imperator Vandal build is going to be very similar. Even though it has superior crit chance to the Cyngas, you're still building for status because the slash status is just super, super strong. I cannot stress enough how strong particle damage status is. It's going to increase your damage exponentially, and it's just nuts. So for right now, I have automatic trigger, charged bullets, magma chamber, and hypothermic shell for the status chance, with dual rounds, polar magazine, and Zodiac Shred for slash. I'm also running a heat damage riven here. You can run Rubido Line Barrel in its place if you want to. I just swapped it out because this one has heat and damage on it. Not the best riven in the world, and I could certainly get a better one if I rolled more. The last weapon I'd suggest using is the Phaedra. Now, unfortunately, the Phaedra has very, very low slash damage, and that means you're not going to get as many status procs, but I'm still running Zodiac Shred here just to ensure I get more procs. I tested with and without it, and I found that it works better with. Test it yourself. Obviously, I have Riven here with heat and status chance. If I didn't have this, then I'd run a different status chance mod, probably the mark target mod. But, test it yourself and figure out what works best for you. As for the other mods here, same general build, barrel for damage, trigger for fire rate, multi-shot with dual rounds, and then the status mods. All these builds work pretty well. As you can see in the footage though, the Cyngas is my favorite, and it works extremely, extremely well with all the slash procs. But at the end of the day, what you want to use is up to you. I hope I've just at least explained what's good and why they're good. You just want slash, status chance, and then radiation or cold damage. The best damage type is radiation. It's just like Eidolons, guys. So radiation's going to be number 1, cold's number 2. In some cases, it's all radiation weakness. But really, it's the slash status that kills enemies very, very quickly. I'll probably put out another guide on the Railjack itself. Right now, I found that this is the best way to kill enemies in the exterminate missions, like gain point. But the Railjack can be useful, and I'll go over my build soon. I've been farming a lot. I'm on 9 intrinsics on everything, so hopefully soon I'll have all the avionics so I can show you guys what's good, what's not good, and talk a little bit about my Railjack build itself. But hopefully this video has at least showed you guys what to build for, and if you have any questions about the build or what I'm using, please leave a comment below. As always, guys, I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you later.